Hi, everyone. Just so you know, I'm Fergus Bruce. I'm from After the Pandemic. I'm just letting you know that this is being live streamed. So the After the Pandemic YouTube channel has a stream for all of these presentations. If you want to share that and tell people you're online, go ahead and do so.
Good afternoon. Welcome to day 2324 of COP26. Oh, here we are, it's week 2, and we're all still here. And this is the biggest gathering of young people that we've had in this space. So we're absolutely delighted to welcome Edinburgh College of Art to come and share their Get On With It stories with us. After the pandemic, came up with this bonkers idea of creating a space where young people and local people could engage with COP26. And for our sins, Daydream Believers, Creative Bravery Festival, Petra Kucha, Lego, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, White Space, stop me if I missed anyone, decided that we would join in with that idea and bring a global classroom to Glasgow to coincide with COP26. And we have had input and projects from all over the world. And I'm so delighted that a few select students have managed to come in real life to come and present their work in Glasgow. So I'm going to introduce you to my very good friend and colleague Zoe. Zoe and I met across the table from each other a couple of years ago and eventually decided that we worked for competing institutions, but we could talk to each other anyway. And I'm so glad that ECA has taken on this challenge. I've jumped right up there, Zoe, that was impressive. There are steps at the back if anyone's not feeling quite as athletic as Zoe is. But I'm going to pass you over to Zoe. She's going to talk a little bit about what's coming up. So give hands together for Zoe. Is that everything I'm supposed to say, Helena? Just check. Thanks to each. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay. My name's Zoe Patterson and I'm the Programme Director for the undergraduate degree at Edinburgh College of Art, which is part of the University of Edinburgh. I'm here with a couple of colleagues, Mike and David, and about 70 students from the undergraduate programme and the postgraduate programme. And they've all been doing the same brief, and I'll let the first speakers tell you about that brief connected to COP. The students are in groups, so you're not going to get 70 presentations, much as I'm sure you'd like that. They're in groups, and they're in groups dependent on their design agency. And at Edinburgh College of Art, we run an internal design agency scheme where students group together at the beginning of the academic year with like-minded individuals, and they create a branding, a philosophy, and advertisements for their agency. And they offer interviews to interns, juniors, and senior designers, that's first, second, and third years, to come along to those agencies and work with them for the full academic year. And they do projects within those agencies. And one of the projects that we set them this semester is the COP26 brief. And I'm going to introduce now 2 of my 4th year students or creative directors within those agencies. Ellie and Harley are going to tell you about their Get On With It brief.
Hello.
Hello.
How do we flick through? It's on the table. Okay. I think, should we stand up?
Yeah, stop. Yeah. So we're going to start by kind of just going over the brief as a quick summary so you understand kind of where we're at and why we are doing what we did. So our brief was, if we had one of the conference attendees of COP26 as our sole audience for 15 minutes, who would that be? Who would you choose? Why would you choose them? And what would we say to them? How's it before?
Right arrow.
Try again. So we decided to direct our project at how the 1% fly, how all these people, all these leaders have reached COP26. You know, they've not come on the bus, they've come from all over the world and maybe made the whole event a little bit ironic and potentially questioned why we should have had all these emissions produced for a climate change conference. Sadly, all of the social media and news outlets definitely hone in on this and explore why and how the leaders came to this event.
So, for example, one of the kind of startling facts: private jets flying to COP26 release more CO2 than Scots produce in an entire year, which again is just kind of ironic for a climate change event. So yeah, again, private jet produce 10 times the emissions per person as an economy class flight.
And this really starts to take away from the message of COP26 when all the news sources and outlets are directing all the energy at the leaders and not about educating young people and making this like a global community to learn more about the environment and what we can do. Sadly, everybody just hones in on the leaders, and we've decided to kick back and direct this at them.
So kind of our solution to this was to come up with a jet pool movement, which we named One Trip, which is aimed at kind of kicking back against the private jets, getting them all the leaders onto one plane, essentially, basically a carpool movement, but for planes and for flying, and getting everyone to COP26. Yeah,
so we need to reunite the 1% with reality and get them to take part in this whole event and what it's really all about.
Yeah, and because they won't fly with normal people, we're getting them on this jet together so they can fly with their own. So yeah, I've called the slogan private travel without the penitence. So private travel without the guilt, or less of the guilt.
Yeah, we have to throw like some pretentious words in there to, you know, get them on board.
Exactly. It's the only way.
I don't quite know what penitence means, but it's along those lines. So we thought of, you know, this is not a realistic solution. It's basically a very, very long plane journey to pick up every world leader. And I doubt they will make it to COP in time. Although maybe that throws into the question whether they needed to be here in the first place.
I think especially after kind of the whole pandemic, and we've realized you can work online, it does somehow work over Zoom. Why do they all need to kind of get their private jets over here?
Yeah, the solution would either be a jet pool or an advertisement to Teams.
So just looking at our branding or logo there.
So we're looking at, it's called One Trip, and it's one trip for the 1%.
Yeah. Let's scroll down to that. So some more branding kind of, if we can scroll up a bit, sorry, of the kind of planes and some posters. So I guess essentially the idea is kind of on one side, that's kind of what everyone sees boarding the plane, and then that's kind of what the rest of us see.
From the end that they don't get on that.
Exactly, so, yeah. Just summing up some of the brand advantages: flights that don't cost the earth, well, less so. Good price, vaguely good, maybe a little bit better than private jets for your image. Travel with those of a similar social status to you, you know, kind of try and scare them off a little bit less.
Yeah, because they're obviously too good for normal people.
And yeah, private travel, but without the private jet, kind of as a summary.
Yeah, so we thought of what is the advantages, great social climbing for them, you know, Biden and the Pope having a good chat about world politics. It's guilt-free, not that they've ever felt guilty before. It's engaging, they've got a lot to talk about. And yeah, it'll probably be a bit of a competition for the top dog. Quite an exciting flight to be on, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I'd like to be watching in. Yeah, that's us.
Oh, say one. Yes. Say one. Say.
We're doing ABC.
Yeah.
A1.
A1. Say two. Say two.
A1.
A or C.
Yeah, so did that. Can we go first?
Okay, so yeah. So hi, we're we're a team of multicultural designers from 2 different continents, and we aim to preserve cultures by digitally recording their elements. We aim to make them accessible to all and make them interactive. We want to use design to revive forgotten histories and record ones on the brink of extinction. We are committed to researching every element to the fullest degree and allow our design process to be collaborative and open to constant inflow of information by the people of the cultures we're representing. Today, we want to help preserve the environment from destructive wildfires. So our aim as a design agency is to end wildfires by inspiring climate change. Our targeted audience will be Gavin Newsom, Governor of California of the United States. California is one of the most effective areas and can be the leader that inspires change in the United States and abroad. There are steps that everyone can take to reduce wildfires. Greenhouse gases such as CO2 are rising, and the resulting atmosphere has increased wildfires by 50%. Normal wildfires become exponentially worse because of CO2, destroying more land and leaving smoke and ash in its wake.
With greenhouse gas emissions high and the environment already a virtual tinderbox, the ignition point is often caused by humans. The human factor is the biggest cause of these forest fires. It can be due to a cigarette butt, living too deep in the forest, the tree felling, or the faulty power company machinery. Our project is focused on the elements created by these burns. After an uncontrolled forest fire, we are left with only fire, ash, CO2, bone, and charcoal. These fires leave all living things dead in their wake. Something we need to implement is what is called prescribed burns, also known as controlled forest fires. Leftover dried out vegetation debris is a huge problem when small controlled fires aren't carried out. With these controlled fires, debris is cleared and the soil is fertilized. All of this helps reduce wildfires spiraling out of control. Two other solutions we have is that we need to cease coal and petrol use as soon as possible, preferably within a year, and use wind and solar energy. We also need power company reform because in California, one power company was at fault for $3 billion worth of damage.
So we create the visual symbol to show the element after burning, but this kind of element are still really important to our daily life. So let's start to thinking about what we have destroyed and what we are left with. And I use the laser cutting and the spray paint, like combined with the different material to create the art installation to show this kind of like the mountain and the fire to make the audience to rethink and think about the life and the human activity and the behaviors. That's all. Thank you.
I should just say, for anyone who doesn't know, the International School of Masters Program, it's only the second time present the COP26 style and another language. So, very good.
Okay, thank she needs to change the PPT. Yeah. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. We are master student from the University of Edinburgh, majoring in graphic design. Our design agency is You, which means creating for you. We express our idea of social issues through our design projects. So the name of this project is the Ghost Fire, which referring to the fishing girls in the ocean and also the humanity. Our agency supports sustainable fishing, and we believe that leave the ocean alone is the best way to solve the problems. The fact is 93% of all the world's carbon is stored in the ocean, up to 20 times more than forest on land. And also the ocean provides 85% oxygen for us to breathe. Losing just 1% of marine ecosystem was equivalent to releasing the emissions of 97 million cars. Unfortunately, each year, more than 100 million marine animals die from plastic waste alone. 46% of those plastics are fishing gills. They are the ghost gills. But not only that, we later found out that the excessive commercial fishing is also the major threat for marine lives. Excessive commercial fishing is an immoral behavior that prioritizes profit over the well-being of humanity. For example, fishermen blame on dolphins for eating too many fish instead of admitting themselves overfishing. So they started the dolphin for catch more fish. And also another one is bycatch. It's like accidental catching, but not say accidental. They catch people in China, they catch sharks by accident, cut off their fins and throw them back into the ocean. After we got to know all these things, we found out that there's an organization called Marine Stewardship Council, which claim themselves is certified as traceable and sustainable. But what we don't know is they concealed many unethical fishing activities behind it. When you go shopping in Tesco, in Sainsbury's, you will easily find those seafood products with dolphin safe labels or the MSC blue tips. But those labels guarantee nothing. They aren't 100% sure about no dolphin being slaughtered, no fishing gills being abandoned. And we made some visual experiments of our understanding for this topic. We were mainly focusing on how the ghost gills trapped animals in the first place. Later, we were thinking about how would those animals survive under human pressure, but that is too fantasy, because animals' evolution takes much longer than we make changes. We also made some models of those marine animals and tried to help them get rid of the fishing gills. And we have divided our posters into 3 different themes: overfishing, accidental catching, and the fishing gills. We also selected 6 different marine animals to match the themes, and those animals that play in the major play in the imbalance the marine ecosystem. As you can see, the shark fin we mentioned previously, and the expensive bluefin tuna, they are going to extinct. So in the end, it is impossible for humans to stop eating fish, but what we can do is to not rely on those seafood, give the ocean sometimes to take a break and recover by itself. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. We'll talk about the coral bleaching crisis, and they are our members. Our manifesto is "Do not let coral reef turn white skeleton." And we first researched what is coral bleaching. It is used to describe the loss by the coral animal of all or some of their symbiotic algae and photosynthetic pigments. And we can see the pictures that the location of coral bleaching is mainly near the coast. So it's strongly influenced by human activities. There are lots of human activities, including the use of sunscreens, which is very close to people's lives. And there are 2 ingredients in most sunscreens, which is harmful to coral and cause coral bleaching. We also have some interview and discussions. We summarize 2 points. One is the lack of the policy of the use, the harmful ingredients in sunscreens. And the other is the lack of visual information on the protection of coral in the sunscreens advertising and packaging. And there is a GIF about protect coral.
Hello, everyone. My name is Doris Young, and I'm going to introduce the visual output of our project. So first of all, the audience we focused is our favorite queen, because we imagine that our queen wants to go to the beach by plan for relaxation, but of course we don't know that. And then she buy the sunscreen product which contains harmful ingredients to coral. That sounds horrible. So we designed some posters and then apply them into the airport scene. Hopefully our queen will see them and take coral crisis seriously. And at the same time, the manufacturer will come up with new sunscreen products, which is not detrimental to coral.
And we also did some interesting typeface design, which also inspired by the shape of coral. And then in previous research, we know that the leading cause of coral bleaching is temperature. And the optimally environment for coral growth is 23 to 29 Celsius ocean temperature. And this chart is the process of coral bleaching, which along with the rising ocean temperature, I made it look serious. And to follow us, I imagined a brand which focused on coral protecting and designed some related branding products. And I hope everyone will pay attention to coral bleaching crisis because it is a really grim phenomenon, and do not let our beautiful coral turn white skeleton. And that's all our group's presentation today. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. We are Grey Nest. We are pleased to have these opportunities to talk about our idea of the project for the climate change topic for you today. We have 6 members in our agency: Dora, Huizhu, Yixin, Xinyu, Yexin, and me. So let's introduce our agency philosophy briefly. We're trying to convey a theme of sustainable living to the younger generation in order to like in a very interesting and eye-catching way, in order to encourage them to be more responsible and make their own contributions to sustainable life. We have often seen some severe weather news, which triggered us to think about the relationship between the global warming and the extreme weather. So we pursued this direction to warn the public for the to the public and to for the ever-changing world in the future. So through our research, we found out that people's awareness of disaster prevention is kind of weak. So we got the idea about creating a survival kit in a fun and co-creation method to like facing to the community and to So considering about the Foundation for Environmental Education, is the largest environmental education organization in the world. We really hope Miss Leslie Jones can take on board our project and to just invoke some people to enjoy the subject.
We often use bright colors and vivid colors like that to indicate weathers and temperatures. So we choose this kind of colors as our visual style, and the following as for posters we design. These are our sketches in our project. And SSS shell, survival, shelter, and safe is this meaning. And on the right hand are our designs of items in our survival kit. Here are the wireframes and sketches of our application design. And on the right hand are the application's prototype. We could choose a planet of different kind of extreme weather that we focus on and make that kind of specific survival kit. And here are the effects and the renderings of our application design. After we make the survival kit, we could send it to our home and protect our safety. And finally, I would like to show everybody about our user interaction preview. This is choosing the extreme weather, and start with select the survival tools. We could drag and drop it into our survival kit, like worms and energy support and medical supports. And here's other score and radar diagram that tell us how could make it better to make the survival kit. And your kit
will be on the way. This is our project. Thank you for everybody. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, oh. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's my honor to share our agency for you. Firstly, I will introduce our agency. Our group is made up of 6 girls, and our name is Miss Jelly. Miss is from 2 different meanings, like a term for lady and also something wrong. And Jelly is from jellyfish. And Miss Jelly is a public face channel that using jellyfish as a metaphor for women and the ocean as a metaphor for society to help more women gain self-confidence and finally create a more equitable and open place for public opinion and social space for women. And for today, in this project, our name is No Meat Week I Can. We found that the animal husbandry played an important role in carbon emission. And we think maybe changing people's diet is the most efficient way to reduce it. So we divided our project into 2 parts. The first one, change our diet. And the second one, try to find what we can eat possibly in the future. We firstly choose Akshama as our audience. In his agency, he claimed that we should take forward action on achieving sustainable and nature-positive agriculture. So we decided 3 key words: food, agriculture, and carbon emission. Based on data from the internet, we found that food and agriculture accounts for 25 to 35% of global carbon emission. And we also did an experiment of people's daily consumption of the meat. We collected the receipts and created a calendar, and finally formed a report to show the relationship between the consumption of meat and also carbon emission. And then we proposed our slogan, No Meat Week is like, doesn't it make it made for 1 week. And we also designed several posters to advocate people reducing the consumption of meat. And we also designed several posters to we combine the earth and the trees with meat. We hoped it can serve as a warning. And then we started to think, if we can't eat meat in the future, what we can eat. We inspired from a documentary called Conspiracy. It comes up with an idea that using plant extracts to replace the existing food to improve people's diet. And we also did some researches like this to explore this idea. Okay, that's our final product. It's more like a hypothesis about future diet. We choose for possible plants like tree, grass, flower, and seaweed. As we all know, seaweed has been proved that it could be used in making food. So we hope the others also could be used in the future. And we also designed some videos to present these advanced food. Okay, that's all. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are the gravity style. Oh, sorry. We are the graphic design students from the Edinburgh College of Art, and our agency name is OWN. We are made up of 6 lovely ladies. And And our agency addresses problems of the vicious competitions in today's society due to the evolution. And we want to help people to find their own unique identity and the things they truly like. For the COP26, we are pioneering new ways of designing things with experimental materials and separating eco-friendly ideas. We find that the coral ecosystems are now facing an urgent crisis due to global warming, increasing carbon emissions, and the ocean acidification. So as a visual studios, we want to do some artwork to warn people about this area and start to protect the coral ecosystem. Our audience is the US President Joe Biden, because we find that the United States has the highest per capita carbon emissions in the world. And secondly, because we think that the decision and the personal mind for US presidents as an influential figures in the world is very important. And so the destructions of the coral ecosystems will cause many problems, such as the coral bleachings and the belittle coral, and the sea mammal who live in the coral ecosystems will also lose their home. So we want to show the consequence on human body so that the people can emphasize with the problem.
And if we regard the coral ecosystem as a vital thing, getting breach is like getting serious illness. So we comprise the coral ecosystem as humans' 5 senses. And we want to explain the pain suffered by the breaching is like the exhaustion of humans' 5 senses. And we want to use the variable device to explain our design concept. This is one of our direction of the 5 senses, which is about hearing. And you can see we want to make the visual image like the color grows from human's ear to destroy the hearing. And this is our sketch and 3D rendering. We also made the experimental to make the true device. And we use the recycled materials like the tree branches and shores and so on. And then we get our posters. The title of our poster is The Silent Lands, because the British coral ecosystem is like a community turned into a fridge and a silent city, almost like a lifeless ghost town. And in normal conditions, the color is full of bright and lovely color like orange. But you can see our device is pure white, because we want to use the British white to explain the silent feeling. And finally, we also dress our device for President Biden. It's just our little joke. We hope that our audience can pay more attention to this issue problem and do some action to protect the coral ecosystem. That's all. Thanks for watching and listening.
Hello everyone, we are Group C1 Wild Wild, and my name is Xiaotian Peng, and I'm very happy can be here presenting on behalf of our group. So let's start. As you can see at the screen, we called our subject as Light. So it's about our agency. We called Wild Wild, and as designers, we want to move beyond human-centered design to a design that is centered on the nature. So for this project, we will be learning from the perspective from the nature. So this is our research, because we found a situation. Normally, we notice that the city is still very, very lively at night, and the shop even have their lights on the late at night. So this is a big problem, because the light pollution and this effect, the urban heat island effect, can cause a big problem that can affect the climate change. So our target audience is that the shops that they are lit at night and their boss, their owners. To do so, we planned institution, and this is our visual experiment. We look for some cases related to the light and design about the memorials. And you can see our draft and what we used some materials. So this page, this is some about the paint and our visual experiment. We use some luminate materials, just like, for instance, spray paint, for instance, stick liquid, and other things is some oil, paper, clothes, or something we can use. And this can produce some fantastic effect. And we use this to be our first draft. This is the first draft because we use some type to tie the materials and type some paint on glass of to draw a map of Glasgow, because Glasgow have a very big problem about the light pollution. So it's a good example. So we use it. After that is our visual design. This is a map of light pollution in the world. And because we don't want to, it's just a location project, so we use the all over the world. So we choose some points and some outlines of some location and use this to be some visual graphics, to be some posters or some tickets. For example, if we put a drop of fluorescent paint on the clothes and we can see a scattered light. And as graphic designers, we think we can use some posters and tickets to be posted anywhere in the city. So we can remind people of light pollution and using its diffusive nature. Other than that, we make some things different because depending on the level of light pollution, all over the world have different levels. So we use the gradient to make design for each location. We use this design to form a spectrum, just like this. You can see the designs just like some numbers, some words, and some circles. And it's beautiful, but if you check the number, there's a coordinates, and you can find the answer. You can find this phenomenon. And I just want to tell you, it's beautiful but dangerous. Yeah, so that's what we have done, and we want to use this form of warning to shop owners, especially for shop owners, to minimize the use of electricity, and the bright lights of the night are hurting us. So to do that, our visual outcomes will use some special materials, just like light paint and so on. So that's all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on. Thanks.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are Y Factory. We are a group of young graphic designers and artists currently studying graphic design at Edinburgh University. Today, we will be introducing our agency and the environmental philosopher here. And we find that the aesthetic on social media today tend to be unified, and which is an improvement of thoughts and the mobile state of society. And we really want to change this exciting situation. And we want to use our creativity to release our personality. And this is the member of our agency. And then we want to use the original world to create a new world. So we extracted seaweed from nature and use it to recreate paper, to call on people to use the renewable resource around them to reduce the use of chemical products and to protect nature. And our inspiration comes from the problem of algae blooms caused by water pollution. As we all know, seaweed is the main source of the oxygen on Earth, but the algae blooms harm marine life and destroy the ecological balance. So we want to fix this problem. And therefore, we do some experiments. We collect seaweed samples from the Portobello Beach in Edinburgh, and we cut it up the seaweed, then put it in boiling water in about 5 minutes. Then we put it in blenders and add some pulp to break it up, then use the mesh sieve and turn upside down on the table, soak any excess water and type to the glass to dry, and then we can get some new papers.
And after that, we use the red algae and the green algae to add different types of paper. We choose cotton's printing paper and the tissue paper. Mix them with seaweed in different preparations to experiment and make many different kinds of paper. As you can see, the paper also has pattern of seaweed on the surface. Also, we can use other waste materials such as fruit peels to make it. Any different materials and the proportions will result in a different outcome. So everyone in our group will make their own paper. This is also the fascinating part of this project. Actually, these seaweed papers can be used as clothing labels or sensitive print and combined with green printing, which is low cost and good for the environment. It can degrade in the environment and return to nature. Finally, we think we can't limit ourselves to traditional product. We want to combine environmental protection with new things to create a more interesting and meaningful product. We just use seaweed paper as an example to appeal to everyone to protect the environment and nature. We just use the original word to create a new word. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We are Temperature, 6 enthusiastic girls from the University of Edinburgh. And this is our group member, Wenya, Yuying, Yixuan, Zhou Yu, and Xinyu and Huanchen. We really care about people's warm life and the temperature of the earth. Yes. On this occasion of COP26, we would like to show you the pollution caused by fast fashion and look for some solutions. And just like our agency's slogan, we really believe that we are not the last of the Jedi, but the first of the new.
According to our research, the process of clothing production and insertion, the river and atmosphere are seriously polluted, increasing carbon dioxide emissions. Therefore, our target audience is the young people who like to buy fashionable clothes. And we want to call on more people to use environmentally friendly fabrics and reduce fabric pollution.
Okay, so our experiments about fabrics. On left-hand side, we use the two illustrations on the denim. The light color symbolizes the light production, and the air quality is really good, right? On the on the right-hand side, on the contrary, the dark color symbolizes the more production and there is air pollution. Okay, next, on the left-hand side, we use the dye to make the effects of the dye printing on the denim. On the right-hand side, we use the dye and the cotton to present the dye pollution. So, but we hope that there will be less production and we hope that less production and let the blue sky and white clouds into to cover our entire world. And then finally, there are 3 posters about burning fabrics. You might say this is posters are beautiful, right? But just like we wear the fashionable clothes. But in
behind the beauty, have you ever thought about the pollution of production behind these fast fashions? Do you think it? Okay, I think this is the meaning behind these posters.
We have produced a series of biological fabrics. These biofabrics are 100% degradable and have almost no carbon emissions. Now, this fabric on this screen is made of vegetables, which is very flexible and strong and can replace many clothing fabric. And this fabric is made of agar and glycerin. It is not only flexible and strong, but also waterproof. It can be used in many ways instead of plastic, rubber, leather, and other materials. And this fabric is made of sunflower seed shells and the coffee powder as raw materials. The appearance and texture are similar to leather, so it can replace many kinds of leather products. And this is an experiment using biological to imitate the incineration of clothes to call for more attention to sustainable development. If you are interested in this topic, you can log in our website. Thank you for your listening.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Absolutely amazing. I think you all deserve a massive, massive round of applause. Oh my goodness. Amazing. And I think what's really interesting is every idea was different. So every agency that pitched had a different way of looking at this challenge. And first of all, I think, you know, I'd obviously like to thank yourselves. You've worked really hard. I'm sure none of this was easy. I don't know if you knew you were going to have to be live streamed and on a stage and have a microphone, but you've done it, and you should feel incredibly proud of what you have produced today. And I know that we and all of the team here are. I'd also like to just take a moment to thank your tutors who have helped you to get to this point. I know that you want to give them a big shout, a round of applause, a big woo! But it gives me massive pleasure. We are delighted that the founder of Pecha Kucha is here, Mark. He is here. He is delighted.
They all hate me.
He's been with us. We've had an amazing, amazing week. And I know that he wants to do a little bit of feedback for you.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, you did a great job. First of all, there's some of the most beautiful presentations I've seen. I really mean that. There were some really fantastic things there. And certainly the most beautiful things I've seen since I've been here this week. Yeah. And that's saying a lot. I've seen some really interesting presentations. So congratulations on really beautiful and really poetic work. Yeah. I think that was some of the most, there were some really brilliant things there. And I really want to put them all online. We're going to work with the sound and put them all online, and you'll be a part of the Projector website. If there are some things we need to re-record, let's do. Because I really want to put them there because we've had some really amazing presentations from IDEO, the big design agency. Natalia presented from there. The president of the American Institute of Architects, AIA, Peter Exley, he presented about what they're doing in the US, a really important presentation. And I want to make sure that your presentations are with that and make a really fantastic archive going forward. I think that the Projector format, I know it's a pain in the neck, but we got through so much information this afternoon. It would have been impossible without that. One little thing is there's no video and no GIFs allowed because we want you to look, listen, and think. Because I think in this world of video and streaming and Anderson Cooper and the bottom third moving, you don't really look at the images and think. And I think that we can talk about it afterwards and show videos afterwards and things like that. But I think during the presentation, you want to engage with people. And we've done these presentations before with film directors, and they were all like, it's impossible to show it without any moving image. And they, in the end, we force them to do 20 slides, 20 seconds, and they actually love it at the end. And it's the go-to format. And I think you'll find that too, maybe within the school, that this is a really simple way to get simple ideas out, upload, 10 images, voice them 20 seconds each on the website, and that you can turn them into a video. It's really straightforward. So thank you again, and really, really big congratulations. I'd really like to see a lot more work that you guys are doing, because it is really very, very impressive. And I'm not saying that. I'm based in Japan. 確かに日本語は全然大丈夫。日本人もいます。誰がもう私は30年住んでた。だから日本語は全然 OK。だからインターナショナルの Zoom もできるし、we can do lots of international Zooms and things. So let's keep in touch, and we'd like to work with you a little bit more. Thank you all very much. There's one favor. We're going to go downstairs now and take one big photo of us all to prove you've been here in the lobby. So let's go down now and take that big shot, and we can chat on the way down. We'll go from there. Thank you very much.